So welcome to the Streakwave Milesight Professional Camera Series webinar. Today we're going to have Jeffrey from Milesight join us. He's a technical support. Steve is going to be doing the webinar. He has over 8 years of video surveillance experience and over 30 years in the telecom industry. He is one of Streakwave's product managers and specifically product manages the Milesight product lines. Steve, thank you for joining us and doing this webinar. I'm going to let you go ahead and take it over from here.
I'd like to start by just introducing the Pro Camera series. Now, Milesight makes a very large portfolio of cameras. We at Streakwave and in the from a U.S. distribution standpoint, we don't stock all of their cameras, and the reason for that is not all of their cameras are NDAA compliant. However, you can be confident that the items on my website and the items that are in stock are those NDAA compliant devices. So I will get, if you have other camera needs and you want some that are not in that NDAA compliant list, we can certainly get those. If you have projects and you want to run longer run rates with those, please reach out to me and give me a call. My contact details will be at the end of the presentation. We can bring those in and stock them for you. We just chose right now, given the sensitivity of some of the chipsets that are out there, that we would stick with the NDAA compliant devices. So everything on my website that is in stock is NDAA compliant. I want to be clear about that, including the NVRs and all the cameras and everything else. So no worries on that. They're all NDAA compliant. We selected the Pro Series cameras because it's sort of their upper to middle end of their camera selection overall. So I think this has great value to price benefits in terms of what the cameras can do. These are professional series cameras that match what you see in the marketplace for feature sets to camera bodies across the board here. We think the pricing on these is pretty good given everything that's packed into them. So these are devices with better image quality than their other devices, up to 90 frames a second. So those of you who do casinos and high or very quickly moving items in the screen like cars and traffic and things like that, the 90 frames a second helps that quite a bit. They've got a lot of horsepower in the camera bodies or cameras themselves because they do a lot of AI at the edge, and SD card slots for storage on the edge if you want. But we have the full line that goes with this. We're not going to talk about them today, but I just want you to be aware we have the NDAA compliant NVR units as well, from 8 to 48 ports, I believe. Definitely to 32 ports, and the 48 and 64 ports are coming soon. So the larger units are coming soon. And then all of these are, can be run on PoE or DC, and they have multiple alarm in and outs. And from a pixel standpoint, 2, 5, and 8 megapixel bodies. So the next few slides are going to just cover the different camera bodies. We're not going to go into a whole lot of detail because we're just talking about them having, a dome, a bullet, and a box camera. So we'll just cover these quickly. Again, there are variants from 2, 5, and 8 megapixels. They have IR on most of these devices for at least 90 feet or 90 meters. And built-in microphones, etc. Many of them, if not all of them, have a SIP stack as well. So if you have a camera with audio or with a VoIP solution need, these will all have those capabilities. And of course, all of the mounting brackets and frames and different mounting hardware that associated with that. So again, we're not going to spend a lot of time. These are basic data sheet type details you can read at your leisure in more detail if you're hunting for a specific set of cameras with megapixels and IR throw and all that. So just understand that the Pro Series has the dome, a bullet, motorized bullet, not motorized in terms of PTZ, but the camera varifocal lens is motorized. And then here's a little bit larger motorized bullet type camera with higher zoom rates. Again, all 2, 5, and 8 megapixel variants. One thing I'll draw your attention to is this mounting bracket. You can see this is kind of an interesting design. This part right here that is on that you would attach to the structure, be that a pole or a building or whatever, can be mounted separately. And then this door part hangs on that hinge and then screws down. So this makes installation quite a bit easier on your techs in the field. They can mount the box, pull the wires through, get everything ready. Camera body can have the attachment plate mounted separately while you're on the ground, and then you just take this whole thing up and hang it on the hinge set and fold it over and screw the screws in. So it's a really nice design in terms of mounting hardware on these back boxes for the bullets, and it looks nice and clean when it's in there. Here's the box version. Again, typical box camera with changeable lenses and the associated housings and sun shields and things like that are all available as well. So again, we didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on, the ins and outs or bullets of, specifications on these cameras. Just introduce you to the line that has, these 4 bodies in it, these 4 form factors. And so we'll get on to kind of what the webinar is really talking about in terms of what kind of power is built into these cameras, what they're able to do at the edge. So the biggest power in these cameras is the video content analytics, and specifically the AI video analytics in here. So at the core of this graphic down here, you'll see that the camera understands the difference between humans and vehicles and other things. Like what I mean by that is swaying trees in a breeze. If you have on advanced video analytics, it's not going to use that as a trigger. It's only going to pick up a trigger if a vehicle or a human enters the screen or the field of view. And that's great because it cuts down your storage, it cuts down all your false alarms and all the things like, snow and rain and other things that people have fought with for years in terms of trying to record actual events and not, inherent natural motion of the environment. So that, coupled with high accuracy, and the algorithm learns as it goes along, as it continues to watch your field of view, it gets better and better over time with that AI learning. So that's what we wanted to show you here. We have a quick video on these specific region entrance and exits, objects, tamper and advanced motion line crossing. So we're going to show that now. Benji, if you want to play that video, we'll cover that real quick as some examples of detailed images showing those features. So as you can see, they can do a lot with the human and vehicle detection in terms of whether or not your focus is traffic or car movement or humans or both, right? So obviously on the loitering part, they were using a very small time frame. You in your field of view, you know, that's not loitering, that's walking through the scene. So you would set that a little bit higher, obviously, to somebody, you know, around 1 or 2 minutes or something like that. But for the purposes of demonstration, they set it that low there. I hope that gives you a good idea of all the options that are available and how you can tailor this to, you know, crowd flow and other things like that. We're going to cover some of the specifics. This algorithm can track people's movements entering and exiting a region in up to 4 different directions, which is pretty good. And you can do it on multiple cameras. Also, there's a ability to produce reports off of that data and the triggering of people entering and exiting. In addition, a lot of buildings, supermarkets, and other buildings and public spaces have a capacity limit, and you can count the people moving in and out, especially in places that have a single entrance, like let's say a grocery store or something like that, and make sure that you're not hitting that maximum capacity, or if you do, that somebody gets alarmed and we can get some of the people out of the building. From a, you know, fire marshal or building capacity standpoint, stay in compliance with those things. There are some other videos on here. You'll see at the bottom here. We're not going to show those specific videos for those in the webinar today, but they will be in the link on the post webinar email that you get. Those links for these more specific videos will be included in that email that you get after the webinar today, so you can take a look at those at your leisure if they are interesting to you. So that's talking about line crossing. Here's intelligent regional people counting. This one's really interesting. If you have a store, retail outlet, or, you know, some other you know, venue where people line up to get in, this has the ability to have a queue monitoring. So actually can detect the people in line and how long they've been waiting, how long they've been there. It allows you to, you know, open up additional entrances, or in the case of a grocery store application, the ability to get an alarm and have other cashiers come and open up different lanes as a linkage trigger for, you know, the length of stay. If it reaches a certain specified time frame, almost like a queue when you're talking about voice over IP services, right? When you have a call queue, there's a, you know, a management overflow or something like that happens in those voice environments. This is a similar thing, only it's triggered by the actual live video feeds of monitoring the situation, and then it can trigger those alarms to go off and you know, request additional cashiers or whatever, like I said, in a grocery store environment. So lots of application scenarios on this from a detection standpoint. Heat mapping also in retail environments, or you know, other public spaces, if you want to know where people move through a space or where they linger and look at different products in the case of retail. This is again, this is nothing new. Heat mapping's been around a long time. What's different is this has some AI built into it. So it's got real-time you know, detection and the ability to have analysis reporting on the crowd flow and things like that. So that's also got a video, as does the intelligent the intelligent regional people counting also has a video that will be available in the post webinar email, not welcome email. Sorry guys. That is the end of what we wanted to talk about in terms of the slide presentation today. I do want to mention again that we have all of the VMS options and NVR options that goes along with this this line's overall product portfolio. All the NVRs we have in stock and all the cameras we have in stock are all NDAA compliant. Those devices are available now. They're in stock. And if you have a project, we'd be happy to talk to you about it. Also wanted to mention there's a full line of license plate recognition, traffic flow analysis, LPR with radar, so we can get speed on devices. They make a very interesting solar LPR camera that can be mounted and doesn't need a network connection. It's can be transported, or it doesn't need power. I'm sorry. Can be deployed quickly and movable, kind of a deal. So we've seen applications where a neighborhood gets upset about high-speed traffic in their neighborhood, so you could see that being deployed quickly on a pole and gather data intelligence on that and see if for example, road humps are going to be something necessary, or if it's not that big a problem overall in the environment. So there's parking lot solutions. Again, license plate recognition, some of that with radar, all of it with IR or white light. So they have a full range, a complete series of cameras that can handle your solutions for surveillance. The lineup is very well rounded. And I have some of these cameras as a demo system. If you want to see them, what the views are, play around with them, I'd be happy to do something, individual on a project by project basis, if that's something that you need to look at. Coming soon, we're gonna put some bundles up on our website with like say an 8-channel NVR and 4 cameras to handle a small office or something like that. So be on the lookout after May 1st on something like that coming to our website as well.
Cool,
but
Steve.
That is, yeah, go ahead, Benji.
Yeah, so I wanted to let you know, as we get some questions, we got a couple that came in. I'll go ahead and read some of them and let you take a minute to answer them. So there's a question: what are the permanent and reoccurring licenses required?
There are the cameras have this AI technology embedded in them. It's just a matter of turning them on. The cameras have all of the settings. As you saw in the video, the guy was just going in and changing the components that he was looking at, whether it was single line crossing or one direction line crossing, 2-way. The settings for all of those advanced video content analytics can be done on human or vehicle or both. And so you get, when you have those combinations in there, it gets really specific when you get into selecting those options. The answer for the licensing feature is what the camera has built into it, the camera does automatically. There's not a license fee. The only license I know of is that when you buy the VMS, there's a base charge for the VMS platform itself, and then that comes with a certain number of camera channels, and then you can buy more channels. Is the only other license thing that I know of in the lineup. I'll check on that to make sure and get a response out for the answers before the video goes final. By the way, we did record the video today. We're going to post it, so you'll all get a link to that as well.
Yes. So another question from the same guy: what are the system components other than cameras?
As I mentioned, there's NVRs available from 8 to 48 channels. There's 32 channels. There's a 64 and a 48 channel coming very soon. Other components, all of the mounting hardware, different mounting brackets. I called out the one on the bullets that I thought was really an ingenious design, but there's recessed mounts, there's bell mounts, and all the things that you would make to pendant mounts for all that. So those are other system components. Would be the only thing I can think of. If there's a specific component you're asking about, just drop that in the question box again, and we'll and I'll check on it for you. But all of the mounting hardware, the camera bodies, enclosures for the box cameras. Again, there's a full line of cameras, so I didn't even mention, but there's many different types of PTZ cameras available if that's something that you need in your environment as well. We have some PTZs on our website that are in the NDAA compliance class, but there's some other ones that are on there that they're like box cameras that have a full motion arm and things like that are not yet NDAA compliant, but they are available. We can get those for you too.
Cool. So there is another question here. Does their AI detect changes to surface texture and or color? For example, detecting spills in a convenience store or at a fuel pump?
That's a really good question, and I wish Jeffrey had been able to join us today. Um, I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out and we will get an answer before we post the video.
All right. So there are no other questions in the queue. So if you have any questions, there's a little Q&A icon down at the bottom of Zoom there that you can type in, and we're happy to answer them here live. You know, Steve, as I watch these videos and, you know, I get to know the product and stuff, they do have quite a bit more than just the Pro Series. And so if somebody needed more than Pro Series, what is the solution? How do we get in touch with you to figure out like what is the full build out that we need?
Yeah, so just here's my contact details. You can send me a quick email on any questions you have, or if you're looking for a specific camera type or body style with certain specifications, I can try to help you with getting a recommendation for that. The other option, obviously, take a look at our website. You can sort by manufacturer and just select Milesight, and all of the available inventory will come up. You'll see number of pieces on the shelf. These do come from China, but we do typically bring these in via air, so there's not a terribly long lead time on any camera that you would need that is not in stock. We can typically get those within a couple of weeks.
So I
So
have a couple more questions here, Steve.
yeah, go ahead.
What distribution channels does Milesight use, or do you sell direct to integrators?
We sell direct to integrators. We are one of, I think, only a few, if not the only one currently in the U.S. handling this brand. We chose it. We've had some experience with a sister company of Streakwave in New Zealand and Australia, and they've had good success with this camera. So it was a pretty easy adaptation. We're also seeing more and more requests for video surveillance that we did not have a great answer for. And one of the things that I wanted to get when we went and found a vendor for this was a solution, a vendor who had a solution for the entire spectrum of what you could see. Again, parking lots, LPR, night vision, IR, and then all of the associated storage and recording solutions. So full NVRs, a full VMS. By the way, I didn't even mention they do have a CMS as well, which is a camera management system. That is very helpful to make adjustments locally or remotely. There's also a very nice app that connects to that CMS system and VMS systems and the NVRs for video playback on your phone. So they really have an entire developed suite of products that handle video surveillance solutions and needs in the marketplace that is very competitive, and we think priced pretty well for all of the things that are packed inside in terms of the AI and all of the available horsepower to get your video dialed in the way you want it and triggering only the things you want to see.
Yeah.
So
there's a question here, and I'm wondering if that camera management solution would answer the question, but do you know if there's a software tool to plan video surveillance systems? I imagine the answer is.
Well, planning the video surveillance systems, not specifically, no. That gets very granular, in my opinion. You have situations where you want to watch a specific object, like maybe a safe door or a specific entrance, a loading dock or things like that. But then you have other situations that you want to see a more broad or what I like to call situational overview. So you might use a hemispheric camera in the ceiling to get a wide view of things. So there's not a camera planning tool. Those of you who deal with Wi-Fi, there are some out there that do Wi-Fi planning, which is nice because there's a limited throw of the RF from a particular access point, right? So that gives you kind of a heat map of where the signal would propagate. That's not really true in video analytics or video surveillance. There are things where you can plot the camera, the proposed camera locations on things like floor plans or things like that, and given viewing angles and things like that, you can sort of get an idea of where those things are going to go. But there's not a specific tool for that. The CMS is not a tool for planning. It's more a tool for management of cameras. Think of managing firmware updates, making adjustments on, WDR or IR throw or things like that remotely, or from a central station within a company's deployment that doesn't require you to log into individual IP addresses. You can get to those cameras all in one spot, if you will. So that's what the CMS is, but not a planning tool in terms of where do I need cameras, what do I need to look at. I have some experience in that. If you want to hit me up and you have a site that you have a floor plan for and you have some idea of what the customer is trying to accomplish, I'm happy to go through that with you and decide what cameras maybe to put in what specific locations to get the views and coverage that you're to match up with your customer's desires. That's more a human thing than it is a tool thing, in my opinion. So
sure. Well, Steve, I don't have any other questions in the Q&A. So if anyone does want to ask one more question or two, we'll give it another minute. Let's see. Sorry, yeah. If you do have another question, throw it in there. We'll give.
So while that's going on, Benji, I'd just like to tell everybody thanks for joining us today. This will be posted later, and we'll get the answer to the fuel spill or context texture change on a field of view. See if there's anything that does do that. There's nothing comes to my mind off the top of my head that's going to handle that, other than if it's a region of interest and the it changes the scenery, just in terms of not the advanced motion detection, but regular motion detection. We probably could see that in some way, but I'd have to talk to their engineering group and see how if they have a solution for that that's specific to either the AI or not, and see what they say. So we'll get an answer on that. But wanted to say thanks for everybody to join today, and thanks for your time. And I'm happy to help anybody with projects or any recommendations.